tears are not just emotions. It was a message louder than words. And when Jungkook, BTS's lead vocalist and cheerful face, burst into tears at the end of his military service, it wasn't just ARMY who fell silent. Even his fellow soldiers were dumbfounded. What could make a figure as strong as Jungkook finally collapse? And what exactly did Jimin admit to shaking up the BTS community and changing the way the world views the two? In a very personal but inevitable moment to spread, Jungkook showed his most human side. In the harsh military environment, he was known as a tough soldier, disciplined, focused, and rarely complained. But in a letter he wrote to Big Hit's internal staff, which was leaked to a closed-off fan community, Jungkook honestly revealed how hard his last days in the military dormitory were due to parting ways with Jimin. "I know we will soon return to our lives as artists, but in this place, we are just two ordinary people who rely on each other," he wrote. This recognition surprised many, especially because so far the relationship between BTS members is often displayed in a professional and harmonious nuance. But rarely do fans get a picture this deep, that the relationship between Jungkook and Jimin is not just a collaboration, but rather an emotional bond formed from the experience of living together for more than a decade. Even more surprising was Jimin's reaction. In one of the closed-door broadcasts that was later quoted in a Korean fan forum, Jimin stated, "I always saw Jungkook as my younger brother, but when she cried that night, I felt like I was losing a part of myself." He added, "We've been through all of this together. Fighting from scratch, going through tough training, popularity pressure, to now sharing a bed and a dining bench in camp. When she cries, it is a form of love that neither the stage nor the music can explain." This statement became an emotional turning point. Not only did it change the public's perception of their relationship, but it also made many of the soldiers who served with them feel that they were witnessing something very rare. True sincerity in a world that often demands masks. The soldier who was in the same barracks with them even expressed his surprise. "We thought they were just celebrities who came to serve in the military as a formality, but they're very real human beings. Not a single day did they treat us differently." And when Jungkook cried, "None of us thought it was a weakness. That's strength," said one anonymous soldier in an online military community post. The story spread quickly. Some of the international fanbase immediately put together a special project to deliver letters and gifts to Big Hit's headquarters, as a form of support for the emotional maturity shown by both. Even in Brazil and Indonesia, the ARMY held a collective live broadcast themed "Two Souls, One Journey," as a symbol of celebration for their friendship and honesty. In a short time, Jungkook's sentence became a viral quote, "I feel free, but part of me doesn't want to leave the quiet life with Jimin." The momentum has also led to widespread discussion about the mental health and emotional stress that K-pop idols face upon returning from the military. Fans and even the Korean mainstream media began to highlight the importance of psychological recovery rooms for artists after heavy state duty. Jungkook and Jimin didn't just open up their wounds, they opened up a public discussion about the dark side of an idol's life. But it's not all about tears and sadness. In the latest video published on the official HYB channel, both appear with equally calm but deep smiles. "We've been through a lot, but now we're ready to come back. Stronger, more honest, and closer to you than ever," Jimin said as he patted Jungkook on the back, who nodded and said, "Thank you for waiting." Many speculated that this moment would be the starting point of a new narrative for BTS. HYB's in-house producer, Bang Suk, even gave a vague but hopeful statement. "The year 2025 is not just about the return of BTS. It's about rebirth." Some observers of the K-pop industry even believe that this personal narrative will be the foundation for the next monumental work, whether in the form of an album, a documentary, or even an official memoir. However, one thing is undeniable. Jungkook and Jimin have given the world more than just song and dance. They have set an example about honesty, about the courage of showing emotion, and about strength in friendships that are not made up. In a world where image is often more important than reality, both have broken boundaries and shown that true strength comes from a heart that dares to acknowledge pain. And when they finally return to the stage, the world will not only see two idols. The world will see two men who have gone through the most personal test of their lives and come back as the best versions of themselves. The ARMY knows this is not the end of a chapter, but the beginning of a deeper story. However, amid the excitement and enthusiasm over the return of the two BTS icons, one fundamental question arises that should not be ignored. Is all this really happening? Are Jungkook's tears and Jimin's emotional confession genuine moments born out of the depths of friendship? Or is it just part of a narrative deliberately constructed to attract sympathy, arouse public emotion, and of course encourage popularity? To what extent can we believe this narrative? The fact that most of the information comes from posts on TikTok, snippets of Weverse broadcasts, anonymous comments on Twitter, to unverified military online forums, makes us wonder. Are we witnessing reality, or just an emotional illusion produced by the entertainment industry? Let's reflect together. The tears running down Jungkook's face, Jimin's touching words, and the reaction of the soldiers who were rumored to be moved. Everything was so perfect. Too perfect, even. Doesn't this feel like a preconceived documentary script with a strong dramatic narrative? Isn't it too easy for the public to dissolve in an emotional story, when the source does not always have validity that can be accounted for journalistically? In the world of K-pop, image management is everything. Every expression, every sentence, every interaction members have with fans could be part of a strategy designed to maintain the loyalty of such a large fan base. Is it possible that this moment tears in recognition is another form of marketing strategy? We are not saying that all this is a lie, nor do we accuse that their emotions are not real. But we invite you, the ARMY and the general public, not to stop at the surface of the story. Have you already questioned where this news comes from? Who spread it first? Is it an official account? Is there any visual or sound evidence to support this narrative? Or just based on transcripts spread by unknown accounts on TikTok and Twitter? More importantly, have we as fans who love their idols so much unconsciously lost the ability to be critical? Do we choose to believe because we want to believe, or because the information is worth believing? We all know that the South Korean entertainment industry is highly structured, and any release of information, especially concerning the emotions and personal lives of artists, is often strictly regulated. So when news like this comes by chance towards the end of the military service, an important moment in the lives of idols, shouldn't we question the timing and motives? We also have to ask, who benefits from this narrative? Is it just fans who feel more deeply connected? Or is it agencies that are reaping the benefits of increased social media engagement, surging traffic on official YouTube channels, or sales of digital platform merchandise and subscriptions? We remind, once again, that part of the information in this article comes from various social media, not the official release of the BTS management company. TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and fan forums are indeed fertile fields for news that spreads quickly, but not all of them can be sure of their validity. Herein lies the importance of a skeptical and reflective attitude in the face of any information. Questions like these are important to ask. Is it true that Jungkook wrote the personal letter? Or is it just a fan-made narrative that went viral as if it were fact? Did Jimin's confession indeed come from an official broadcast, or was it just an edited and cut audio snippet? Is it true that there are soldiers who testify in online forums, or is it anonymous accounts that spread stories without clear identity? Has the official media of BTS or Big Hit ever confirmed this emotional story? These questions are not a form of distrust per se, but rather a mechanism of self-protection from information manipulation. In an era where the line between fact and fiction is blurring, the ability to think critically is a deeper form of love for our idols. We don't love them just because they touch our hearts with the narratives that social media spreads, but because we value them as human beings who deserve to be fully understood, not just emotionally consumed. We must also learn to distinguish between emotional truth and factual truth. Maybe Jungkook was crying. Maybe Jimin did convey his heart's content. But do we have irrefutable evidence, or just fragments of information that are fragmented and colored by the interpretation of fans? This is where our responsibility as an intelligent and caring audience lies. Not only does it share and viralize touching stories, but it also questions the source. Not only cry along with the story, but also ask, what is the purpose of this story created and spread? Who controls the narrative? And for whom is this narrative beneficial?